The discreet charm of the bourgeoisie follows a group of upper-class individuals who arrive at their friend's house for a dinner party, only to be informed there has been a miscommunication. We then follow this group of friends as they attempt to sit down for dinner multiple times, only to be prevented by one reason or another, some of them real, others imagined. The iconography of the film is suggestive of there being a close relationship between class and conflict. From the offset, we witness a group of upper-class individuals gravitate towards symbols of war, almost subconsciously. The inn Thévenot recommends for the group bears the image of a soldier on horseback brandishing a sabre. This imagery has immediate war-related connotations, thus foreshadowing the conflict that occurs throughout the film. When Acosta sees the terrorist Miranda approaching his apartment, he retrieves his gun from a china dish. This juxtaposition between the delicacy of the china and the implied violence of the gun reflects the facade of the bourgeoisie and the scandalous events that often take place below the surface. For our group, this scandal comes in the form of smuggling cocaine in order to gather the funds to retain the lifestyle they have become used to. Given that much of the film involves social niceties and dinner parties, this moral taint on their characters is very much like the image of the gun in the china dish. The content of the dreams included throughout the film examines the differences between the subconscious concerns of the upper class compared with their martial counterparts. One soldier recounts a dream where he meets friends and a lover who recalls as being deceased, one of whom comments on his pale complexion. We realise as an audience that this means he must also be deceased in this dream, which is a clever method of foreshadowing one likely outcome of the conflict he will become engaged in. Compare this content of death and ghostly hauntings with the dreams of our upper-class party, and we can see that the concerns of the bourgeoisie are likely to be more rooted in the fear of humiliation and punishment of their crimes. One of the dream sequences involved the group being seated for dinner at the colonel's party, only for the curtains to go up and for them to be revealed as the subjects of a bizarre play. The audience becomes rowdy upon realising the group do not know the lines. This suggests that humiliation and discovery are the main concerns of this privileged group, and that they hold values surrounding public image closer than any other. The inclusion of a handful of working-class characters gives our group the chance to reveal their attitudes towards those who are less privileged than themselves. The first of these characters is Maurice, the chauffeur. In one scene, Thévenot reports the correct way to drink a dry martini is to sip it, and promptly recalls Maurice from his position of waiting outside in order to prove a point. When Maurice drains the glass immediately rather than sipping it, Thévenot becomes smug, maintaining that this is how not to drink a martini. However, the character of Florence drains the remainder of her martini when the group impulsively decides to leave, and is not berated for doing so. This reveals the hypocrisy of the upper class and suggests the real problem lies not with the proper or improper method of carrying out an action, but rather with the social status of the individual carrying out said action. The character of Miranda represents the antithesis of the bourgeoisie, fully and consistently rejecting the titular charms of it. The most notable scene featuring her, in which she enters Acosta's apartment with the intention of killing him, sees her actively rejecting symbols of the upper class. We witness her pouring away the champagne offered to her, and throwing a majestic-looking lamp to the ground. Given that Buñuel is a master of symbolism, these moments are not merely coincidental, they are a denouncement of bourgeois ideals. This scene is also remarkable because of Acosta's attitudes towards the poor. He says, if you think about it, the only solution to starvation and poverty is in the hands of the army, revealing the ironic partnership between conflict and conflict resolution that his character believes must exist. Furthermore, when Miranda is leaving the apartment, he signals his agents by waving a white handkerchief. This imagery evokes the concept of surrendering, but rather than surrendering himself for his own crimes, Acosta is surrendering those of a lower class in order to divert any attention that may fall on himself. It is merely self-preservation, a concept of which the bourgeoisie in this film appear to be well aware. The discreet charm of the bourgeoisie mockingly highlights the limbo between modernist and postmodernist theories and how the bourgeoisie finds a way to create class conflict, regardless of stimuli. Mike Wayne states, "In the early decades of the 20th century, modernist practitioners worked outside the core centres of the capitalist media, a marginality that afforded an authentic capacity to shock and scandalise a traditional and conservative bourgeoisie with attacks on accepted convention of art and or society. The era of the postmodern, by contrast, is characterised by the effacement of the boundary and distinction between high culture and the avant-garde on the one hand, and mass culture on the other, whilst the term bourgeoisie no longer conjures up a unified set of conservative cultural values waiting to be shocked." Buñuel playfully switches up these conventions, allowing our characters to partake in morally scandalous behaviours, whilst having them remain shocked and amused when the working class characters are unable to drink a dry martini correctly. Instead of being inaccessibly heavy in tone, the denouncement of the hypocrisy of the bourgeoisie is more comedic. This is arguably more effective, providing a commentary without feeling like a history or politics lesson. The dinner party itself brings forward notions of the upper class, and the continuous searching for a soiree highlights the fear the bourgeoisie possess in the face of society's changing ideals.